Everyone, and happy Saturday. Welcome to Friendly Differences 2.0. I am your outspoken, unapologetic host, Dread Empath, and with me, as usual, is my co host.
Solid Blue Sister.
Yes, my sister from another mister. And on today's show, we are talking about biracial children, the stories and voices we don't hear. And our guest is Ace. And as soon as Lady Artemis can join us, we are having a little bit of technical difficulty. She will be here as well. Welcome, Ace. Thank you for being with us today. How are you?
Not too bad. I appreciate you guys having me.
And we appreciate you being here on this podcast. Always welcome. So please jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about you.
My name is Ace. I'm a Sagittarius. I like long walks off short piers. I am an 80s baby. So, of course, most of my growing up is in the 90s. I have my mother, who is Italian, born and raised as such, just like an Italian lady, just in the States. And then my father, who is a Black American, that is very city based in the way that he was raised and his way of thinking. So growing up with two different dynamics has been very interesting for me and all my siblings.
Okay, so do you speak Italian?
Not fluently.
Okay, so we never get too personal on this, but you said your father's a city slicker. So whereabouts did where city and
St. Louis, born and raised.
ooh. Ah, there she is. Our other guest, Lady Artemis, joining us once again. I love that shirt. You're going to have to tell me where exactly you got it or send me one. I'll give you my cash up after the show.
I got you.
Yes, guys, Lady Artemis is one of my most loyal supporters on TikTok. Lady Artemis, please tell us about you. Uh-oh. We didn't- we having some trouble hearing you. You cutting in and out.
Uh-oh. Is that any better? If I speak
Yes,
up?
yes, it is.
Okay. I am proudly biracial. I am passing. My mom is black. My dad is white. And as you can see, the force was strong with my dad. I'm married to a handsome and studly Latino man, Manny. He's a soldier. He's El Salvadorian and Spaniard. And it's so funny. Our daughter is strong with the force with me because she's got the beautiful brunette hair, but it's lightening and it's starting to go red like mine. And she's white presenting as well. She's white passing.
Wow. Okay. And I love this that we have a white passing biracial woman and a black passing biracial woman. And Solid, you got anything for our guests? I'm gonna let you take it from now.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say to Ace that when and you started off saying who you were, you sounded like you were going to be on what was that show?
Love
um,
connection.
the Love Connection. Yes, I'm a Sagittarius and I like walks along the beach. So anyway, aside from that, one main question that I've wanted to know because I've seen videos of biracial children and I've seen TikToks. And one thing that always it doesn't amaze me, but it's concerning to me. Did your non-black parent ever not understand if you were ever called a racial slur? I mean, because I guess what I'm saying is I've heard where some people say that my mother's white, and when I went home crying saying that they called me the N word, whatever, she was like, "Oh, don't worry about it." But the black parent got it. They understood. So you guys know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I hear it.
Let me see if I can turn you around. There we go. Okay. Can y'all still hear me okay?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, cool. Um, Ace, did you want to go first?
You can go ahead. I'm still thinking.
You're good. The only instance I can really think of, because my dad passed when I was 6, the only instance I can really think of that has an impact in regards to myself, it was when my mom had told me we went to go visit, and I can remember it a bit in my mind, but we went to go visit some of my dad's family friends, and I had fallen asleep, as kids are prone to do, on long car rides. And I fell asleep. And when I woke up, it was one of those times where, I actually woke up pleasant instead of, in toddler rage. And these friends of my dad's were Caucasian, they were white. But when I woke up, like, I was all smiles and I was full of, like, joy and sunshine. And the woman, the wife, looked at my dad, looked at my mom, and looked back at me, and she was like, "That's how it wakes up? It's so pleasant." And it's like, my mom immediately was like,
It.
it. And my dad was just like, "Oh yeah, she wakes up so kind, and she she's sweet." And my mom's like, "Okay, so oh, Gordon, we should oh, look at the time, we should go." Like, immediately my mom was like, "No, I'm not having my daughter around this." But my mom, for a little further, to delve a little deeper into my mom and dad's relationship, there was one time my mom and dad were just talking, like, about their lives and things like that. And my mom actually looked at him and was like, "How come whenever we argue, you never call me the N-word?" And my dad just kind of gave her a weird look and was like, "I mean, I've never thought of saying that to you. Why would I say that to you?" Which gives me hope in humanity. Hearing that, like, that one instance gives me hope in humanity. So, Ace, on to you though.
Anytime there was some sort of racial-based confrontation, my mom did not get where I was coming from. It's not that she lacked care or concern. She definitely tried to play the, well, you got to be tough role, but she never quite understood why certain things were triggering. The thing that I can think of that I still tell stories about to this day, high school, I loved to run. In junior high, I could run, 5 mile, like the mile, I could run in 5 minutes flat. So come high school, when it was time to do track, I was all for it. First thing my track coach said, only person of color that came to try out for track, "You're going to be our runner." And on that moment, and in that precise moment, I looked over at the field coach and said, "I'll be playing for you." And I refused to run. And my mom, it never dawned on her. She didn't understand why that right there was extremely offensive and that I refused to run. She's like, "But you're a runner. You're a fast kid. Like, why wouldn't you? You know how many scholarships you can get?" I go, "Do you understand how much I will not run for that man? They're lucky I'm still even on the team."
So did the coach understand where you were coming from?
When I questioned it later, because he came to me and he was not understanding why I refused to run, and I go, "Because you pointed me out, the only person of color to be your quote runner." I was like, "That's offensive." He's like, "Well, it's not offensive. You're just really fast. You haven't even seen me run yet. You just said that without even me trying out."
That
He
right
didn't, it did not click for him that you literally just stereotypes me. Whether I'm fast or not isn't the point. It's you have no proof. You just judged me based off the color of my skin.
So how hard was it hard where you guys were, I guess, living in two worlds?
It was challenging. Growing up, because my dad passed when I was so young, and my dad's side of the family, kind of faded into the mist. All I knew was my mom's side. And growing up, I was very proud to be biracial. I was very proud to be half Black. I grew up with, like Black family members, and going to events and being surrounded by Black culture. And I loved it. That's half of me. That's part of me. That's who I am. And I thrived off of it. I loved it. But having to almost prove my biracial sense of self, or prove my blackness, that to this day continues. I don't know, Dreads, if you saw on my TikTok, there was some, of course, it's always some random jackass that does this, but this random person messaged me and was like, bitch, I know you're not biracial. Fucking square up. Show me how you're biracial, because you're the whitest motherfucker I've ever seen. And I'm just like,
oh, tell me who they are. I'll drag them accordingly.
I got you. I like, obviously, it's like TikTok is so, they police you so hard. So I couldn't even say anything. I just took screenshots and put it up, and all I could put in a caption was just like, new to my page, huh? And like, as much I wanted to fry this unfrosted Pop-Tart, but I'm like, I don't want to get banned. So I'm just like, cool. That's the day you deserve. But what I think growing up was the worst was when white society, because obviously I'm not ashamed to be half Black, but when white society discovered I was half Black, I mean, it was this wide range of just what kind of bigotry. It was like, it was so, like, I was taken aback. Like, I did soccer growing up, and it was for the opposing team. I'll never forget. He had said something about, like, I didn't know white girls. I was on the field. I could hear him. Like, and he was like, oh, I didn't know white girls could get hair that nappy. And I was like, I'm half Black. And he looked and he was like, well, that explains it. We should string her up with a rope in front of everybody. And nobody batted a lash. Nobody said anything. On that team, nobody said a damn thing. And I have had adults while I was a kid. One looked at me, and when I said, yeah, I'm biracial, like, oh, honey, why would you want to be one of them? You don't have to lie and pretend to be them. You're one of us. Why would you do? It's like, okay, let me throw your question back to you. Why would I bullshit that? I'm a kid. Kids are the most unfiltered, uncensored little beings that are just pure honesty on the planet. Why would I BS that? And another person, this was at my school, my elementary school, and it was a parent of one of the students in my class. And when I told his dad and his mom, like, when I told them, like, oh yeah, I'm biracial, blah, 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 like, I will never forget the dad looking at me and telling me that mutts like me should be, we deserve to have a pretty rope necklace and a nice tree as an accessory to go with it. And at that time, I'm in second grade, maybe third. And I just remember going to my mom and repeating it to my mom. And the look on my mom's face was just like, I mean, it was terror. It was pure fear. And people who make these bold claims, they will follow through with it. Like they have no problem. Like, they'll say this to your face. They're not a snake behind your back. They're in your face with it. And what I learned, this is probably going to sound weird to some, what I learned growing up is that I would rather have someone in my face and be blatant with their racism than be a snake and pretend to be an ally, when behind my back, you are doing things and causing me pain, and you are cursing my existence for genetics that I couldn't control. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I would rather know straight up, just be in my face about it. If you're about that, be about it. Be about it. But don't be that snake in the grass acting like, oh, I support you. Oh my gosh, yes, BLM. And then on the other side of the tracks, you're like, I mean, you got a hood on that's nice and bleach white. But it was difficult for my mom seeing me try to navigate both sides. Because while, yes, I am Caucasian, and because my dad died when I was so young, I had, pride in being his daughter, but I am growing up with my Black family. I am Black. And seeing me try to navigate the hatred that I got on both sides. And it's funny, the hatred I got from the Black aspect is actually a lot that I got from like my family. But trying to navigate both worlds and trying to fit in both places, I really had that naive mindset of I'm both, so I'll be accepted by everybody. Everybody will love me, and
It's not like
rude
that.
awakening, you know.
Okay. So I'm sorry, Dred, did you have a question? Because I had a question for Ace.
No, I was getting to Ace because I mean I'm going to process all of that.
I'm listening to everything that
No,
Lady
no,
Artemis just
because
said.
it's because I'm this is a learning experience for me
Mhm.
because due to lighting I look a little bit darker, but when you see pictures of me I'm very very fair skinned, so I've been mistaken for being biracial and I'm like, no, I'm a black woman. But hearing neck accessories, yeah, she has the black experience over here. But solid, please go to Ace. Whew,
I just
wow.
wanted to ask Ace, do you relate to what Lady is saying, or because I'm literally some of the stuff that you've told me, it breaks my heart. It pisses me off, and yeah.
I can relate. I'm like her. If you're gonna be a racist, just do it to my face. I don't do the snake in the grass thing. I would rather know who to immediately avoid and know that we obviously will not be, communicating with each other versus you communicating with me and then doing the sneaky stuff behind my back for me to find out later. That kick in the ass or the stab in the back is never a good one. Um, I was the way that I always explain it to people growing up, I was too black for the white people and I was too white for the black people. So if I was around my black family, I wasn't black enough. The joke was I did not hold my black card because I was raised in white suburbia. So I was too white for them. The only time being around my black family that I would have been considered black enough is if me and my cousins walked to the corner store to get penny candy and the guys in the neighborhood would start hooting and hollering at me because here I am, a 13-year-old girl, and they're 18, 19, thinking that, hey, she's going to be a fast little mama. No, not the case. Hanging out with all white kids in my neighborhood, I was too black. I was the token black person. They had no problem telling you I was the token black friend. um, I had people that made the slick comments like they did with Lady Artemis. It would be stupid things that was unnecessary. You never needed to bring that up. Like, you don't need to tell me about how I need to be drugged behind a car. You don't need to tell me about how if this would have been back in the day, I would be the one hanging from the tree. If they weren't going to be that bold, they would do it the real slick backhanded way. Oh, well, you're real pretty for a black girl. What's
Oh my
that
God,
supposed to
yeah.
mean?
Yes.
And every time I'd be like, "Oh, I don't get it. What's that supposed to mean? Can you be a little more specific here?" Um, it was often the hatred that I got outside the home that made me run home for the safety, but the safety wasn't in my home either. To this day, my siblings will tell you, my parents still have very racist mindsets. They've been together for 30 years. And my dad is real quick to white people, white people, white people, white people. Sir, you're married to a white woman. My mom is very quick. Those people. What do you mean, those people? She has gotten a lot better due to things that she has seen that we have experienced as adults. And I think the moment of George Floyd was really an eye opener that let her start seeing what was going on in our worlds. But she's still not completely awake, not completely aware of everything going on. But even growing up, my mom doesn't remember these things, but they stuck with me. And one of my most hated lines growing up that my mom was quick to say, the boys will never take you home to mom because of the color of your skin. You birthed me. What do you mean? So hatred outside of the home sometimes was honestly even more bearable than inside the home, because you're supposed to be the people that love me regardless. Whereas these strangers, I can't really expect much. But sometimes I felt more accepted by people that I knew were two-faced about it all than I did my own family. So, yay life.
Yeah. No, like it's funny you bring up the fact that like your mom birthed you and she is saying this, and it's you're kind of like, dude, hello. Like the first thing because that brought to mind some like a story. But like when my mom gave birth to me, the nurse my mom's pushing me out, she takes me and she just goes, she's white. And the
Whoa,
doctor
okay.
immediately like snapped his head and was like, genetics, like shut your mouth, you're being rude, kind of thing. Like he immediately like put her in her place. And the first thing my mom thought was, praise God, she has a shield.
That
Because
was my next question for you.
mm-hmm.
Do you consider yourself and then I'm gonna ask Ace something in regards to it, but Lady Artemis, do you feel like you kind of lucked out because you're white passing? And as I say, white people are the default. So yeah, you kind of do have that shield of safety. Do you feel as though you've got it? And I don't want this to be offensive when I say this,
Not
but
at all.
if you had the choice, if you chose to, you could never bring up your black mom. You could
Mm-hmm.
forsake your black side
Mm-hmm.
and hold on to that shield of safety. So do you feel fortunate that you are white passing?
So when I was growing up, I was actually really mad about it, especially because um, I had these like white adults and white school kids that, basically looked at me, and it was like I was a traitor. I was masquerading. What did the one guy say? The one dude, he had said like I was insulting the white race. Like he had he didn't like bellow it out, but he was like, wow, just insulting the white race, just wow, and you look like us too. And he just walked away at that. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally insulted, down with white people. But when I was younger, I really wanted to look biracial. I knew I looked Caucasian, and that as much as I loved my dad, I wanted more of a balance so you could tell I was mixed. And my mom, when I would bring that up, my mom would take my hand and she would say, Sarah, I need you to trust me when I say this. Like, presenting the way that you do is a good thing, because you are going to learn very quickly who really is your friend and who's not. And you will be able to judge dangerous situations for what they really are, and you'll be able to get out. And now that I'm older, I do see the truth in her words. She was absolutely right. I see real quick when white people think they can say some slick stuff and be asinine and be racist and think I'm just going to be like, yeah, oh yeah, like, no, idiot, God, like, look, you unseasoned fucking chicken, get out of my face. Like, it makes me so mad. And what I do now, though, is that this is my my superhero armor. And I if I see that inequality happening, if I am treated graciously and then the woman after me is not, and I know it's because she's not Caucasian or white passing or presenting, I am going to say something. And I'm going to continue to say something until they say, well, wait, because I've seen this happen. Like, well, wait, why are you saying something? You're not black. Why would you say something? Oh, correction, honey. I know I look,
But I am though.
but I am.
So
And I've done that a couple times, and I can't, this is probably sadistic of me, but I cannot tell you the looks on their faces. Like, I mean, the range from she's playing to, oh crap. Like, it is delicious. I enjoy every second of it, because it's like, yeah, you should feel like crap. You should absolutely feel like crap. And yeah, you're caught. You are caught in 4K. Like,
So Ace, let me ask. I'm sorry, Solid. I
no,
just
go
gotta
ahead. Go
ask
ahead.
this. Ace, Do you wish you had been more white passing? Do you wish you had had that shield of safety?
So this is going to sound really morbid, and that's okay. All my siblings are very, very light skinned and at times can be considered white passing. Um, I hated it growing up that I couldn't be white passing, that I was that kid that sat in bleach tub water trying to, as I called it as a kid, which is wrong now. I realize this. As a kid, when my mom came in and asked me what I was doing, I was like, I'm trying to be like Michael Jackson. I was like, I want to be white. As a
Okay.
kid, I didn't know better, but I
I
was.
understand.
I was sitting in the
No, I
bathtub,
don't
10 years
understand.
old, bleach water, trying like crazy to make myself look white.
But
That speaks to your trauma.
but what's sad about that is how we as a society, again, allow white people to think that they're up here because we're trying to do things to look like them because we know that they have it better. So when you talk about the entitlement, people can say no, 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 that's not true. The fact is that it is true. I mean, the one and only time that my mother literally almost socked me in my mouth was when there was an incident at school, and I was so pissed off because I went to a mostly white school, and I said, I wish I were white. My mother's hand turned into a fist, and literally, she almost, until she, I guess, realized at the last minute what she was doing, was about to sock me in my mouth and said, "Don't you ever say that." And I was like, "But mom, but this is what always happens when it because so you guys have gone through things, have gone through things, are going through things that me as a black person, I've experienced racism. I do all the time. But what you guys have gone through, I mean, it takes it to that next level. You know, I don't know. Um,
I think that,
A
and
lot.
this is a video I heard or watched on TikTok when I saw a biracial young person, and they said, "Did my parents stop and think what it was going to be like for me growing up?" Okay. Yes, you're white, you're black, you're Hispanic, you're Asian. Did you guys stop and think what it was going to be like for the child that you bore into this world? And Ace, like you said, your parents are like racist with each other. This is like, my father is married to a white woman, not my mom, but my stepmom uses the N word. Yeah, my stepmom uses the N word. And every time she does it, I cringe. And I'm like, she's over
does he
60.
does he
So
say any does he say anything to her?
my father had a massive stroke like 10 years ago come March. But when he was up and moving, it was so normal that when she would like call him boy, I'm like, yo, she's calling my father boy. And one time I had to be like 15, and she said the N word, and it was February. And I said, "Hey, Dad, why you letting a pale face call you the N word during Black History Month?" And she got mad. And I said, "Do you understand how that sounds?" And she's like, "What I didn't know was that my stepmother was half black and half white. But my stepmother is more fair skinned than Lady Artemis. She is completely white passing. Her mother was totally white with red hair. So I thought my stepmother was 100% white, but I'm like, I don't care that you're half black. You cannot use that word." And she just, in. And I used to be like, Dad, I'm going home. Call mom, tell her I'm coming home. Cause I'm like, and my
So
father
so
used to just let it go.
so Dre, I have to ask this. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to.
I got you.
Um, did you lose respect for your dad at all because he allowed that?
I got very angry with him. And I think it was just because he just ignored her. But I just used to, I didn't lose respect for him. I just got angry with him because I'm like,
Okay.
yo, like, you're sitting here with a black child. You're sitting here with a black child and she's using the N word. And even though she is half black, she's very much white passing. So, and then she's calling you the N word and then saying boy. I used to, mm, she doesn't use that word around me now because I'm grown and could drag her, but mm,
So to both of you, did you guys have a best friend who was truly a best friend when you were growing up?
yeah, did you?
Mm-hmm. Um, my cousin Crystal. She was white girl, but she was my bestie, and she's like family now. But when she moved, like we were still in the same state, but she moved like cities away, like an hour away or something like that. But I mean, we still managed to keep in contact, like AIM and AOL and stuff like that back in the day. But when I was in ninth grade, when I was a freshman in high school, I met Jessica. Her nickname is Tweety, and that girl, that is my bestie right there. And she is pure black, gorgeous. And we actually have an inside joke. She says, like, the inside joke is that she is actually my mom's real biological daughter. And it was like 2 pushes to get her out, no biggie, done. And then it was like 10 years of paperwork to adopt me. So like that's like the running joke between us. But again, you have those bonds, and when jokes are like okay, like in the
Right.
midst of your circle. But that girl is that's my bestie right there. That is the love of my life. I love her to death.
Okay.
Ace.
I did not find my first ever authentic friend until about my freshman year in high school. She is still my best friend to this day. I known her since then without I don't know what it is about her, but automatically we clicked. Um, and for us, she is black. She has 2 black parents. She has 2 black siblings. They are the epitome of we joke around because her family is very big on everything is black. It is a very black presenting. Everything we do is black, 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 be black. But she is more light skinned than I am. So when we go out in public, it's oh, you're the black one, she's the mixed one. No, you got it backwards. That's your colorism showing. It's the other way
Right.
around. But because she's had similar like life experiences, even though she is a comes from 2 black parents, because people always assume that she was biracial. I think that's what made it so easy for us to click to where, like I said, to this day, still best friends.
Marlon asks, question for both. Ace, I want you to go first with this. What was it like growing up biracial in the 90s? Was it worse then or now? Now, I am an A6 child. Okay, shout out to the elder millennials. So, what was that like being biracial in the 90s? Now we have so much inclusivity, diversity. Um, you can't say certain things or else, you'll have to go to sensitivity training. What was that like in the 90s?
You ever played the step on a crack, you break your mother's back game in a parking lot full of cracks? That was
Yeah.
the 90s for me. It was a lot of trying very hard not to step in the wrong direction, because no matter which way I turned, it seemed like there was always a crack that was jumping up to make it into an issue. Whether or not it is better than now, I'm going to say it was. While I got a lot from the parents, I did not get a lot from the kids. There were kids that, yes, absolutely, I butted heads with. They made sure that they made it clear where they stand, how they were raised, and why who I am is the epitome of wrong, and races should never mix. But for the most part, it was always the adults. Now, as an adult and living in this current time, it is worse because people are more bold and loud with it. They have
Wow.
no problem walking into my face and literally spitting on me and calling me the N word when there is, you would assume, absolutely not a bit of black in them except for maybe that one drop law. They are they didn't have the audacity back then as they do now. And the audacity is loud and proud, especially if you get on the internet, because who's going to hit a keyboard warrior? You can't. Um, I would say definitely now is worse than it was then for me.
Artemis?
Ooh, I'm really thinking about this because I'm like, with everything that I went through then, I do have to say, like, I do agree. Kids are unfiltered. Like we've said, they're unfiltered. They're in your face with stuff. So if they felt some type of way, they let you know. And the adults, especially in the community that we were in, it really was divided at the time. Like there was the like the poorer side and like the Section 8, which is where me and my mom were, and then you had these gorgeous townhomes and all of this kind of stuff over on the other side, and it really was a divide. And as soon as they saw you were on the one side, adults, they may not be bellowing it, but they were pretty open about it. It's, for me, it's more like the boldness that racists will take when you're in a possible compromised position, such as when you're at work and they know you can't clap back. You're not going to smack them. You have to, in the interest of professionalism, keep your mouth shut for the most part, unless
Some
they
of us.
really start, like unless they really start wilding out, like you have to kind of grit your teeth and smile and nod. And this one woman, when I was at my pharmacy back in Virginia, she was one of the ones when she asked me if I was celebrating, if I was going to be celebrating Hanukkah, and I kind of gave this Hanukkah, and I was like, "Ma'am, I'm not Jewish. I'm not of the Jewish faith." And she was just like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "No." She was like, "Well, the hair." I was like, "Oh no, I'm biracial." And she was the one who was like, "Well, why would you want to be one of them? Like, it's okay. You can be white. I mean, why would you want to say that?" And it's like,
So she was okay with you being
one of them.
Jewish,
Like,
but not black.
Like, and when I was leaving, since it was like the holiday season, lines were a little bit big, but I was finally off the clock. And as I'm walking out, I see her at the front of the store because the pharmacy was in the back. And as I'm walking, she whispers, but she's like, "Oh, Betty, that's the one they kept in the attic." And I'm like, okay.
Bruh.
So I go outside. My mom had borrowed my car for the day, so she's picking me up. And I have this look on my face, and my mom's like, "What happened?" So I explain it to her, and my mom's like, "You realize she just called you a house N-word, right?" And I'm like, that's kind of what I thought, but she was like, "No, Sarah, that's exactly what she just called you." Okay.
So my question is, I know that Marlon said in the 90s, but isn't this something that is just ages, doesn't matter what decade, that is just something that people
Feels
are
like,
just, same thing that happened to you guys in the 90s happened to people in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And is it really worse now because of social media? Or was it always bad, but because social media wasn't around, we just didn't see it?
That I think it wasn't brought to attention as much. And I think it was almost like a he said, she said thing. Like, I say, you have said this to me. You called me massive bastard. And, you're saying all this to me, but then you said, well, no, that's not what happened at all. She's mad because of this reason. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm mad because you said this to me. I never said that. But now we have technology. We can videotape you. We can live stream it. We can and it's everybody at once. We all have computers that are handheld. So now you try to say something slick. You never know just what's going to happen, and you never know who's recording. And I really do wish that would kind of put these racists in check. But there are people that just, there are racists that they don't care. They get hype on it.
I'm still on the fact that she said that's the one they kept in the attic. I'm still processing that one.
I'm forever going to be pissed off about that, because it's like, okay, I'm leaving. I am off the clock. I'm leaving. I didn't even say anything to you. I just glance in your direction because I see you, and then you whisper this crap out loud, and I'm like, what the?
So if you guys could rewind, and this is a question that when I go back and forth with some white people, I always ask them, would you want to be black? And I've only had one white person that I've asked this to who came out and said no. Everyone else beat around the bush, say, whatever. I'm like, it's okay to say no. I mean, that's what you think. That's what you think. But if you guys could go back in time and be reborn, would you want to be reborn biracial?
Ace, you want to take it first?
I ain't changing nothing. Not a thing. Okay. As a kid, I won't lie, I had my moments. Absolutely. There are still days that every once in a while somebody says something that makes me go, if I would have just been born this way, you wouldn't say that thing. But I wouldn't change a thing, because at the end of the day, my experiences made me who I am. And those experiences allow me to see things from a different angle than a lot of other people. I like to be able to sit back and I can have that conversation. It's not always a good conversation. It gets explosive. But like with my dad about, why do you label all white people this way? Like, why are you saying it's all white people? But then I can sit back and have that same conversation with my mom. Why do you keep saying you people? You realize that when you say this is actually offensive to me too, as your own kid. So being able to sit back and be able to play both sides of the fence, even though being a fence rider, as I like to call it, can be very difficult and straining, and it can be exhausting, I would never change a thing. Never, not once.
Okay. All right. Lady
Copy
Artemis.
paste. Okay. Copy paste. Exactly. Same thing. I wouldn't change.
Okay.
I wouldn't change a single thing. I would give, if I could keep the knowledge that I have now, I feel like I could, especially knowing where I end up and where some people end up, like I feel like I would be stronger. Like, and I wouldn't have this desire to want to be loved and accepted by all. It would be, okay, you're in my face with your racism. Cool. At least I know where you stand. Like, oh, you're a sneak about it. No, F you. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to hang out with you, or I'm not going to mess with you. Like, it would be like that. And
okay,
that's the only thing I would want, is to take my experience and make myself stronger. That's it. Other than that, no, I don't want to change a single thing. Nothing.
Miss Legacy, I'm just going to read what Miss Legacy says. She says, if you were being honest and understand that it means you know that people are treated terribly and unjustly, and said no is not offensive. So,
but you reminded me of that video with Jane Elliott, when she said, all the white people here, if you would trade places with a black person, please stand. And everybody kept sitting. She said, maybe you didn't understand me. If you would trade places with black people in America, please stand. Nobody's standing here. She said, that lets me know that you know what's going on. You see what's going on. You don't want it for yourselves. Why do you want it for other people? I'll be honest with you. I love being black. It's lit. It's beautiful. It's dangerous, though. It's dangerous and it's tiring some days. And I mean, I went to school with quite a few biracial children, and I was an equal opportunity a-hole. I used to bother everybody. But what I never did was the lighter, the fairer skinned students. I never said, "Hey, white girl," because that made their blood boil. They used to say, "Hey, I'm not white, don't do that." It was like, and I might catch some flack for this, but it is what it is. Black people can be just as racist, prejudiced toward biracial children as white people. Maybe not the brutality of "I'm going to hang you or drag you," but they can be just
Oh
as
yeah,
harmful and
yeah,
hateful. Because
absolutely.
I was told not to bring home a white woman. My mother has told me and my brother that, "Don't you bring no white woman home to my house." And with trying to conceive, my mother asked me, she said, "You are gonna conceive with a black donor, right? You're not gonna." I'm like, "Mom, what difference does it make?" She said, "It makes a lot of difference." And I'm like, listening to these two, I'm like, yeah, it does. It does. It really does. Because I'm gonna love that kid, but the world at large will not. Solid.
I just want to follow up with what Ms. Legacy said in her first statement. She says, because at the same time, I also have been okay with it so that I can fight the good fight with others. Okay, so this is the point where I say I'm going to play a video and where you all are going to say, I hope like hell she does it right.
Let's do it. Come on.
All right. So
Fingers crossed.
you know, I know Ace will probably say you got to do it this way. So you got to make sure you do this. And Dread is probably going, please just let her just
I
do
hey, you
this.
know,
All
I
right.
just be here
So
chilling.
I have two, but I'm gonna start with this one. Hold on, let me start over. Okay.
Hey, y'all go easy on my co-host. Don't make me go off, okay?
All right. Let's see,
Hmm,
where is it?
it's warm in here.
If I get too warm, I genuinely start to get like sick because I'm getting overheated. So
No, Marlon, it's not conjunction junction. Y'all keep talking. Y'all keep talking.
I
Ace,
caught you so off
look.
guard. Conjunction.
So Ace, do you have children?
I have
Children.
two children, and the irony of it all is I have one that is super white passing and one that is literally my mini me.
Oh. So how are you helping them cope?
They are honestly weeding through things that I have not experienced, especially the one that is white passing. But they are very open children, and they definitely do come and tell me what's going on or something happened that bothered them, got under their skin. My oldest, which is the one that is white passing, um, actually got into an altercation at school. Was talking to a bunch of kids, was trying to explain something, pointed from one side of the people to the other side of the people. One side happened to have a white person, the other side just happened to have a black person. She was talking about the majority as a whole, like from this end to this end, and they immediately started calling her a racist, and that got under my kid's skin. Like, bro, do you know who my mom is? Are you serious right now? Like, do you realize that I am also black? I just don't look it. They came home, had that conversation with me, and I go, it's real funny. I was like, people are going to look at you and they're never going to see, they're never going to see me. I was like, how do you handle it? My kid handled it with flying colors. That kid don't mess with her no more.
Well, that's good.
I,
That's good.
I love it.
Love
All
it.
right, we're
We
gonna
can
see if this plays the correct way and everybody can hear it. So because I had to change something. So I don't know.
A lot of mixed people, including me, have white mothers who did not talk
Can you all
about their
hear
blackness
that?
during their childhood.
White moms or non-black moms can't show you a perspective like how black moms can. And that's not their fault. But we have to find that perspective on our own.
Mixed children who have white mothers tend to be more exposed to internalized racism and colorism because of the lack of intersectionality among white feminists.
People are like, yeah, children with white moms tend to be a little anti-black. And I was like, shoot, I got a white mom. I will admit that there was some definite anti-blackness, like, stuff when I lived with my white mom.
And my grandmother sees my brother's shirt, and he's wearing a shirt that looks just like this with Malcolm X and the rifle. And my grandma is like, really? Malcolm X with a gun? So violent.
When you live in a predominantly white area in a country that's controlled by whiteness, the information that you receive about black people from society is all just stereotypes. This is what can cause them to begin to see their blackness in a negative light, because no one at home is mentioning their blackness and how it's powerful and beautiful.
This is a Facebook post from my uncle. You can pause to read if you want. But basically, he was saying that he'll kill any Black Lives Matter or Antifa protester if defund the police were to actually be achieved. He knows that I'm very passionate about Black Lives Matter and have always been attending or organizing protests. So when he says stuff like that, he's directly threatening my life.
So many commenters were saying things like, oh, I didn't know my culture. I have a white mom and I didn't know my culture. Why would you expect a white woman to teach you about your black culture? Where was your black father? And the issue is misogynoir, where some black men, not all, but some black men are only with white women because of the closer proximity to whiteness, and they put down their own women and own culture as a result. Us mixed kids need to combat that misogynoir as well as the internalized racism.
Well, my mom was definitely like this before she had me, before they met. And she, like, the family was worse. Like, honestly, they had a nickname for my dad. It involved the N-word. That was really hard to find out.
So I posted on Facebook about neocolonialism and white tourism in the Bahamas, and here's my white family's response. My main problem is with this first sentence. Please remember that you're half or more white. That is so out of pocket. Like, how are you just gonna assume that my ancestors were sexually assaulted? Like, off rip.
In elementary school, I remember, like, telling people that I was white. Like, I never said black. And if people asked, I would say, oh, well, white and black. I would always put white first. And, like, I hated my hair. Like, I hated it.
If you want your child to be proud of who they are, their blackness is a part of that. You can't just pick and choose parts of our identity that you want to accept and dismiss the others. That just further reinforces the idea that blackness is taboo and negative.
You clearly don't know how race works because, no, I'm not half white. I'm racially 100% black. Just like my mom has green eyes, but that doesn't mean I'm half green-eyed. My experience is black. That's all I know. I won't be half denied a job. I won't be half murdered by the police. I am black. That's it.
Additionally, mixed people aren't superhuman. You didn't just create a new category of race by sleeping with a black man. Our blackness doesn't just disappear, it's still there. If you say that you don't feel the need to talk about color, then you're just saying that you want to remain ignorant. Not to just our experiences, but also the greatness in our black identity.
Okay, so I have a question. It's a lot
Ace
to take
felt
in.
all, Ace,
Because
you felt all of that. You all right?
Yeah, I mean, because everybody had something to say. So I did want to go to Ace because I was looking at your face during some of this, and hopefully I did not upset you because I feel like I have to give you a tissue, and I'm so sorry.
She's a Sagittarius. She good? Nah. Are you okay?
Not upset by any means, but definitely hit some chords. Oh, shoot. Ha. Okay. There was so much said in that video that if I could sit here and unpack the whole thing, that they worded things perfectly. And the part that literally got me the most came from the gentleman where he was talking about the post and how they were saying, you know, well, you're half white, if not more. And then he goes on to talk about, no, I am black. I have that bad habit that the lady said. I do honestly put, if somebody asks, what am I mixed with? I will say white, then black. Never really thought about it. That's just how I've always put it when I've explained it to people. And so I started just saying, you know what, forget it. Since y'all like to be extra, we're going to go say I'm Italian, because it literally is a straight line of heritage to Italy. But I did know growing up, a lot of things were put in a white perspective and a white lens because it was my white mom that I spent all my time with. But he hit the nail on the head. I'm black, and people love to be quick and say, no, you're mixed, or this, that, and the other, or you're too light, or you're not black enough to understand. That was the first words I heard after George Floyd. You are not black enough to understand. Like he said, I have the black experience. A cop isn't going to half kill me. They will kill me because of the color of my skin if they feel threatened enough. I am never going to just half get a job because I am half white. If I'm going to get denied a job for being black, it's going to be fully denied. And I've had those experiences. I've been pulled over by a cop for looking suspicious in my mother's white neighborhood where I live at 2 o'clock in the morning because of the color of my skin. And there's no half about it. So while I love the fact that I am biracial, I am half white, I am half black, I am black, and I hate when people tell me I'm not, because it is the black experience that I lived growing up, not the white one by any means. And dang, that video got me in my feelers. I'm good.
See?
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
I'm a Cancer. I know emotions when I see it. Don't even try it. It's all right.
Well, this isn't the first time that we've had emotions, so
We've had tears.
yes,
Yeah, we've
we have
had
had
tears
tears
on.
on our show. So um,
And this is why we are here, because this is where we're gonna go. We're gonna go there with people and let them know, like, these are the faces. These are people who bleed red just like you, who cry real tears just like you. So while you're saying that she's not black enough, yeah, she understands what it's like me and Solid know what it's like when we get pulled over and we're like, uh-oh. But also, Artemis here, her father passed away. She didn't get to live around white people. She got to live around her black mother. And I'm pretty sure you could tell us numerous times, Artemis, when somebody looked at your mother like she kidnapped you or something. Like, what
The
are you
amount of
doing with
stories
that
I've
child?
yes. Yes.
Right. What are you doing with that child? And she's like, she's mine.
so
What, did you find her?
let me ask, because Marlon said, as 100% black man, I'm sad about that, and I'm Marlon. I'm about to call you out for a moment, because are you 100% black? And what do you think about the black guy who said, I'm 100% black? So was he saying that in terms of his experience, or?
No, I think that what he was saying was, oh, he said yes. I thought that Marlon was saying that he's sad to hear that, you know, Ace and the other woman said, I'm white and black because, and I understand where Marlon is coming from, but let me help you out, Marlon. If somebody gave you nothing but negativity, you have 100% black people who don't want to be black. Look at Candace Owens. Anyway, right,
Oh Lord,
right.
that's a
We
whole different topic.
Right, but
But
you get, what do they show? What do they show of black people? That we go to prison, that we're drug users, that we're fatherless, every negative connotation and stereotype that you can think of. Now you take someone who has a black parent and a white parent, and what did I say? White is the default, black is the eh. So we're gonna go with what's good first, white. My mother is Cherokee Indian and my father is Trinidadian. I have white people in my bloodlines, but from my parents, black. Right. Okay. But still, white, black, of course.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
So,
Oh, I was saying that I was
like
sad about this.
Artemis, did you wanna add anything? Because I did want to play one more video, and Ace, this one I hope does not make you cry, because I'm sorry. I mean, whenever we have tears on the show, I'm like, oh,
It's all right. We got to be prepared for the
Ace,
tears.
we love you, Ace. We love you.
Yeah.
So
With there is one experience, and if any of you have experienced this too, please sincerely holler at me and let me know, because I will feel less alone with this experience. So in my my mid-20s, I started dating this guy that was a, first of all, can we please examine how his last name is McCracken? Can you get any whiter than literally McCracken? McCracken, you are cracker in your name. Like, can we discuss that for a second? But he really thought he was all about the black experience. He was all about the black life, because he drove this souped up, based up Buick, and he dealt pot, and he was all about that life. He went so hard and had zero hesitation about dropping the N-word left, right, and center. But it was very interesting to me how, when he got around certain people, how all of a sudden how polished he got and how distinguished he was. And whenever he was talking about his struggles, because it's always his struggles, he would always immediately say, like, oh, you think I'm like, what, some fuckboy because I have a house with a pool? Like, is that it? And there was only one time I got, I want to say bold enough, because he was abusive. There was only one time I got fed up and bold enough to call him out on this. And I straight up said, you don't have a house with a pool. Your mother has a house with a pool. Your white mother has a house with a pool. And your white father has an apartment down the road. Like, your white family, sir, has all of this. You don't have shit, okay? Like, your white family does. And he lost it on me. Abusers, of course. But what really stung, what really sucks, is when his sister was going through her, and this is a quote from her hood rat phase. She was getting arrested all the time, but the officer would not take her to jail. He wouldn't take her to booking. He would bring her home. He would bring her home. And she went into the Marine Corps, got her life together. I'll tell you right now, no, I'm sorry. When you are full of rage enough to the point that, as a grown-ass woman with a kid, a biracial kid at that, you socked your mom, you got mad, and you hit your mom out of your own rage. And the only reason your mom didn't call anybody was because she wanted to protect her grandson, knowing what the foster care system would do to a biracial kid. One, that says it right there. And then part two, if you pull up my ex's rap sheet, he has been arrested so many times, and it shows on there that he hasn't shown up for his cases. So they say, like, oh, you're guilty by absentee. From drug charges to open alcohol containers. He has friends that are police officers. The officer who would arrest his sister became a family friend. And when he worked at a gym, he became friends with another officer. He has these officers, one black, one white, that will come to court and will vouch for him, to the point where he doesn't show up for these things, and where he should be going to jail, including grand larceny, over $1,000, rental property, he would not give it back. He should have been in jail. And this white boy, who is all about the black struggle, didn't do any time, any. Instead, he paid fines. And
must be nice to be white.
So
Right.
let me ask this, because you brought up something about foster care. In your opinion, I'm gonna go to Ace first. Um, if you had a biracial, if there was a biracial child that was going to be put into the system, do you think that they would automatically go with a white family if that child presented white, or go with a black family if that child presented more black? And do you think the system would tell the parents that this is a biracial child?
9 times out of 10, just based off my area, the little bit that I know, because originally social work was what I was going to do. They go in with the white family every time.
Even if the child presented black?
Hmm.
Okay.
The experiences that I've had working alongside shadowing social workers, because I was trying to get my field hours in for my degree, um, people were very quick to want to adopt, even if they were biracial, the black presenting child, because now I'm like the celebrities. I'm taking care of those that can't be taken care of, that we deem to be unworthy. And I'm going to be that one that says, hey, I gave this one black kid the chance to be better every time. Literally watched the family say right in front of us that that was why they were adopting a black child, because they wanted to make sure that they could say they helped at least one black man, because it was a little boy, in their lifetime. And this is just based off my area. Again, can't say for the whole, United States or whatever the case may be. But in my area, it's going to the white family.
Okay.
So when my dad was still alive and my mom and dad were going through their divorce, they didn't know who was the best fit. And it's funny because my dad was back in Colorado, we were in Virginia, but both sides were just, it wasn't an amicable divorce. So I still to this day don't even know how social services got involved, but they took me. They straight up yanked me away from my mom. And when they did that, we were staying with some of my black family members, my mom's side. There was a Thanksgiving or a Christmas party they were everybody was supposed to go to, and they took me that night. And what sucked was that my family members went ahead and they went anyway. And you probably hear my daughter singing, sorry. But they stuck me, they put me with a black family. When they saw my mom was black, they put me with a black family in foster care. But when they did that, they made sure to put me in a very low income family that had a history of aggression. And they were still somehow foster parents.
Wow.
And that's the first place they put me. And my foster sister, so the biological family, the daughter, I had to bunk with her for a little bit until my bed was ready. And every night she would take a thumbtack and she would stab me in the back with it. And when I called her out about it, she would lie. No, I'm not doing that. What are you talking about? And she would keep doing it. And finally she stuck me really hard. I felt the skin on my back pop. And I told her, I yelped and I told her to stop doing it. And she was like, if you say something again, I'm going to stand on your throat. And I was, you're just like, okay, whatever. I just want to go to sleep. It's nighttime. I've been through a lot. I just want to go the hell to bed. So she does it again. And I yelp. I didn't say anything, but I yelped. And that apparently earned me the right to get my throat stepped on. She genuinely actually followed through with that threat. And then my pleas to the people in charge as a child when ignored. I begged them. And it had nothing to do with the color of their skin. It was because they were cruel. It had nothing to do with where I was located, where I was staying. They were cruel people. And cruelty comes in all colors. And more than anything, I wanted my mom. Of course, I wanted my mom. And they would not. They would not do it. And they ignored my pleas for months. Every time I would visit my mom, every time I had to leave, I was hysterical. I was inconsolable. Of course, that's my mom. I want to go home. I know my mom's a good person. Why is this happening? You know, my dad's not even here. He's in Colorado. Why would you take me from my own family? Because they could. And anytime I tried to use my voice, it was almost like I was annoying them. I was pissing them off. And to this day, if I see that social services back in Virginia, if I see it, I am filled with so much anxiety. And then I get mad. I get really mad because what I went through was awful. Let's flip that. How many kids were in a dangerous situation where they should have been taken and they weren't? They weren't. They were ignored. Aren't you supposed to be helping? Isn't that why we have this? No, instead, you ignore them. Or
so
how
they
many
took you from your black mother to put you with a black family when they could have just left
me alone. Exactly. They saw when the officers came to get me, they saw me in my dress, my hair's down, smiling bright. I wasn't beat up, I wasn't malnourished. I was personable, I was happy, I was bubbly. And it was almost like they were like, well, this white child shouldn't be here. Oh wait, she's biracial? Well, she's living too well right now. Like, but this black family has a condo. We can't have that. And stuck me somewhere else where they thought I was like better suited. And it's like, just looking at me, you could see I was fine. I mean, why not just come and talk to us? Why immediately? That was the first time they had ever knocked on our door, that they had ever seen me. They didn't bother to call. They didn't bother to interview, nothing like that. They just came and straight up took me. That was it. That was it. And it was like, so you throw me with strangers, absolute strangers. When I'm a child, like not an adolescent, not a teen, I am a little kid. And you stick me there because you can. Who were you protecting? Because it damn sure wasn't me. It damn sure wasn't me. Who were you protecting? Who were you helping? And I mean, just to this day, it's like, I don't go to forgiveness. Forgiveness is a gift. I gift you my forgiveness. And if I don't feel you are deserving of it, I'm not going to give it. But I'm also not going to give you my power. I'm not going to plague over you. I'm not going to poison myself over what you did to me. No, I'm going to erase you from my mind, except for the barest minimum that reminds me, I don't fuck with you. And I have valid reason. And I leave it at that. You're in a box. I leave you locked up there. I know not to go near you. Leave me alone. All of that. So I don't forgive those people. I do not. Because there was no justification for what they did at all.
Okay.
But what I hope is that karma, in the gentlest way, gave them just a taste of what it was like to be absolutely powerless in a sense like that. Again, not in a, because if I curse them to some kind of cruelty, that just says something bad on me. But it's like if
I'll curse them to cruelty.
I will curse you. I'm just telling you, I will curse you to cruelty and everything else.
for me, please. Curse him
Oh, I
for
I'm
me.
just
will.
telling. Oh yeah, I'm gonna curse you, kick you, drop kick you, step on your throat. Yeah, I will. And yes, this is
There
all
you go.
on tape, and
That's
y'all
what I
can say this.
secretly want. I won't
But
even
I
let that
did.
secretly what
We
I
got enough time for that
Okay.
video.
Okay, yeah, I did want to get one more video in, so
Let's do it.
this is not as long, so bear with me for a moment.
Let's see if she'll get it going.
See, this is where I curse you and the cruelty comes in.
She
right
gonna cuss me out once again.
Right here. This right here is where the cruelty comes in.
I ain't scared of none of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bias is creepy. Bias is sneaky. You don't realize it's in there until a moment like that. I have two daughters. My 11-year-old, Callie, is kind of like me. Callie, what do people say when they find out that you have white parents?
Sometimes they're like, oh, you don't look like you. That I'm like, oh, I'm adopted. I'm in 7th grade.
I look at Callie and I see an innocent little 11-year-old girl.
I usually just think about Netflix and shoes and school, of course.
There's the possibility that you might be treated differently by some people from your sister just based on the fact that you're black and Sydney's white. When you have to say something like that to your kid, it's really sad. It just felt like we were bursting her bubble. But nothing like that's ever happened to you, right?
No.
I just saw a white woman sitting at a bus stop. 20, 30 feet away was a black guy walking down the street. And for some reason, I just thought, you know what? I'm just gonna watch just to make sure that she's okay. I looked at this guy differently based solely on the fact that he was black. I was really disappointed in myself. It's something we need to talk about. This post is embarrassing. This post is saying something that doesn't put me in a very good light. But I thought it was important. If I want people to talk, well, I have to put myself out there first.
Ashton Kutcher retweeted that.
You can't change anything until you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I have this bias, so what am I going to do about it now?
Do something a little bit different based on everything that happened last week. We all come at things. It's just so important to have these discussions. We do. We need to. We need to have real discussions. Politically correct.
We all have biases. I sure learned that I have them, and I'm trying to make sure that that never happens again.
Let's go.
Have a good day.
Wait, come here.
How's it? Get moving.
Okay, so I guess before we wrap up, I mean, do you guys? This is again coming from a white family that adopted a black child. Did you guys? Well, I guess Ace, you saw the bias within your family. At this point in both of your lives, do you feel that you have a need to call people out now and just call them out on the carpet and say, you know what, y'all are just ignorant. You all are just, you have the need to just call them out.
Absolutely. It's been like this, like hush hush, or people cover for other people. It's just been this whole thing where it's like, some people don't like to get involved or whatever, but it's like, dude, if you don't speak up, silence is compliance. You are, by not saying anything, I understand you might be scared, but one of my favorite quotes is, speak the truth, even if your voice shakes. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means doing it even though you're afraid. So you might be in a room full of racist white people, and they might be saying the most racist stuff. I'm going to say something knowing full well they're probably going to stomp me out. But the last thing I will do on this earth is tell them you are all ignorant. And you know what? I pity you. I actually pity you. You're the greatest race with the most narrowest and smallest of minds. And I pity you for that. And I will definitely get curb stomped. I'll take it. I'll take it. I will be terrified every single second, but I will take it.
All right.
Ace?
Ace, you want to have the last word here? Or?
I always call it out and will always call it out, have my entire life. But I do try to assess the people that are involved to ensure that I put it in a way that's going to be received by them instead of them putting up automatic defenses. If I can find a way to even plant the smallest seed to make them see things a little differently, I'm going to do it.
Respect. Absolute respect. I find myself being more on especially on the internet, because people are just so out there with their BS. I find myself like, my claws are out. You know, I see something, not even when it pertains to me, but if I see something, like if someone were to try to, and come for Dread, if someone were to try to come for you, or else it's like my claws are immediately out, my fangs are out, like I'm going to tell you like about your mother, your brother, your Xbox, like, and like I'm going to tell you about everybody, like you can eat my ass with syrup, like I will read you for filth. Like I will read you for the filth of the earth.
Oh God! Wait! You notice I don't drop the F-bomb. We gotta watch our language on here.
My bad.
Okay,
said I can't say stuff.
Well, I mean, as a co-host, there's certain things you can't say. We're trying to go national, y'all. We can't be going around saying "f you" and this and all this other stuff. So you know, but I will say this, guys. First of all, thank you very, very much for both of you all to give up your Saturday and to come on here and talk to us. But again, both of you guys, we were not supposed to bring you guys to tears and what have you. And we apologize. But our show, we have had people, you know, in tears, and you know, but again, our show is a show that we are going to go places, and we're going to go places. And 2024, I'm going to say it again, guys, we're changing our format, and we are going to be going hard, and we are going to be pissing people off. And I already got people that don't like me, so and I know Dre got people that don't like her. If y'all see her TikTok, you know,
That's
whatever.
right.
But we are going to be going hard, because we have a lot of topics, and there are things that need to be talked about, and this was one of the ones that needed to be talked about. I don't like things where you have to whisper and then you come out and say, "Oh, hi," you know. No, put it out there so people learn. So, Drake, you want to take us out?
Yes, and just to reiterate, if pissing people off was a job, I would be a millionaire. Absolutely. I want to thank both of our guests for being here and opening up their voices, their hearts, their experiences to us. Please, everyone, show love to everyone of all races, but remember that we are all part of the human race. We all bleed red. We all cry, smile, and laugh in the same language and in the same color. Thank you all for being with us this Saturday. I am your outspoken, unapologetic, loving host, Dread Empath, and this is Solid Blue Sister. And until next time, everybody, peace, love, and blessings.
Peace.